Hey everybody, Brandon Truesdale here. Today we have our special guest, the dogs across the street. Hey guys, my name is Brandon Truesdale. Today what I want to talk about is feeling judged. Whether we feel judged from ourselves or we feel judged from someone else. And before I get into that, well, what is judgment? I like to think of it as being critical, critiquing something, critiquing the lower version of yourself so that way you can improve to become the better version of yourself. And when someone is judged, when someone is being critical of another person, there's constructive criticism, of course. And people take that constructive criticism in different ways. You could either become nervous, like me, or you can learn from it and improve, or you can get extremely defensive and attack the other person. And I've had a lot of people in my life become defensive. But why is that? It's because when you receive judgment, when you receive critique, the people who get defensive think that we are critiquing the core of who they are, the absolute full frame of their being, which isn't true. You know, when we make a mistake, when we trip, when we say something that isn't right and we meant to say something else, that isn't who we are 100% of the time. That's just a small fraction of who we are. And a good way of understanding whether or not we are kinder to ourselves when it comes to judgment is whether or not we can laugh at ourselves. It's kind of crazy. Laughter is a good measurement of how seriously we take our own judgment, our own critique. Let me break that down for you. Why is it that we can respect comedians even if they make jokes about themselves? Let's just break down what comedy is in general. When you make a joke, there's usually one of three victims. Sometimes it can be all three. That's a damn good punchline if you can get all three victims in there. But you have the comedian, the joke teller themselves. They can be the victim of their own joke. You know, if they tell a self-deprecating story that's kind of hilarious, then there's that. They can make a victim of a fictional character. I mean, I guess that's a safe way of doing it. There's no person who would get offended, hopefully. And then the third thing that they can do to create a victim out of the joke is make a victim out of you. Make you laugh at yourself. So how is it that we can laugh at ourselves? We have to understand that when we tell a funny story about ourselves, or we trip, or we say something that we didn't mean to, that is not the entirety of our being. We are laughing at the temporary lower state of who we were, not who we are. That goes to say, and here's, I guess, where the sad part of it comes in. If we can't laugh at ourselves when we do make that Freudian slip of the tongue, or we do trip, or we can't laugh at our own stories of a little bit of misery in there, that is us saying to ourselves that is who we are. We are, the entirety of our person is our mistakes. There's a spiritual term, and I'm gonna turn this into a scientific thing, so don't worry. If I'm throwing a spiritual term at you, I'm breaking down the mechanics of it so it's not as spiritual if you're scared of all that stuff. Transcendence. Becoming the transcendent version of yourself. What does that mean? It means we are we are finding ways to become the best version of ourselves. So let's break that down biologically. Your brain sends and receives signals, and when it does that, it fires off electrical circuits through your neural pathways. When you learn something new, it will start firing down a new pathway and start creating this well-trodden path, I guess you could say. I mean, think of it like when you're a kid and you learn your ABCs. At first it was tough, and now you can do it with, you can do it upside down, spinning around with your eyes closed. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, blah, blah, blah. I swear I learned the rest of it. That being said, there are dark spots in our brain that haven't been lit up yet. And the way that we light them up is by doing things that we don't normally do or haven't done before. So if you are the type of person who's very introverted, I'm very introverted myself. If you're very introverted and you have a tough time talking to people, and if you make a mistake while you're talking to someone and you can't laugh at yourself, well, maybe it's time to keep trying and start creating those neural pathways in your brain to where you can communicate well, where you can become articulate. It's not an easy thing, but we can take steps to light up those dark spots in our brain. So that being said, thank you, dog. I'm gonna wait for that. You done? Okay. So that being said, because we probably have a lot of dark spots in our brain, which means there is an entire being inside of ourselves that we have not activated. There's almost, I would imagine that there's almost an entirely new person that's waiting to be discovered, and that is really just doing the things that we haven't done before or practice the things that we aren't good at. So if you can't laugh at yourself now, well, one, I would recommend that you start trying, even if you don't feel like laughing, because maybe it will send signals to your brain to say, oh, we shouldn't take this seriously. We know that we're not that person. But if you truly feel like you cannot laugh at yourself, thank you, cicada. I'm going to power through this. But if you truly think that you can't laugh at yourself, that's okay too, because guess what? There is a transcendent version of yourself in that brain of yours, and you can work on activating it so you can feel self-confident, have self-respect, and have the ability to laugh at the lower resolution version of yourself when that version of yourself pops up. So my tip for you is laugh at yourself when you say something dumb to the cashier at the grocery store. Laugh at yourself when you're in front of people and you say something dumb or you trip in front of them. Learn that it's okay to say, I'm free from their judgment. That is something that I have done for myself. I try and teach my subconscious that I'm free from their judgment. And they is just a collective. It's not one person, although I could probably picture a couple people who I felt have judged me pretty harshly and honestly unfairly in my life. And just let that become a part of yourself, that you are free from your judgment. You are open to improving, given constructive criticism, but you are free from letting that judgment, that criticism prevent you from living the life that you were meant to live. So, if there's anything that you should practice, man, I should have this in the beginning of the video, but it's okay. If you made it through this far, this is your reward. Just sort of close your eyes, take a deep breath, just inhale, and as you exhale, think, I am free from their judgment. And when you do that, it might feel a little wonky at first. It did for me. But if you keep doing that every single day, okay, well, the neighbor's dog just ate the smaller dog. Not really, but it sounds like it. It may seem a little wonky at first to do that, but if you do it every day, you are creating a neural pathway in your brain to say you are free from your judgment. You are teaching your subconscious to learn that that thought process is okay. You know, you can have the willpower consciously to say that you're not that you are free from their judgment, and you can do things that go against that consciously, but really you're fighting an uphill battle with your unconscious mind. Again, there's a lot to unpack on the unconscious. I'm not the person to talk about it at the moment, but maybe in the future I will be, and that'll be a fun time. Cool. Well, thank you guys for listening to my rant on judgment. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll be able to get in front of that big crowd, laugh at yourself, so that way they can laugh with you. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys aren't comfortable talking about your experiences in the comments, feel free to PM me, private message me, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts were. Thanks. Talk to you guys later.